Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Ryan with Iowa Classic Cars, and welcome back to the channel. In today's 59 Impala restoration video series, we will be discussing the frame. So this is going to be the first part of many parts in this video. But long story short, my fiance's grandpa has been a welder for 50 years, and he said, bring the frame up, we'll clean up all the factory welds, and make this thing stronger than ever. I will not be welding on the axle. I don't want to warp anything on that, and the welds on the axle look 10 times better than on the frame. But as you guys can see here, just kind of for reference, this one's not too bad. This one's kind of sloppy. There's a lot of weld points. Right here is really sloppy. I'm really surprised that a frame section would look like that. So yeah, we're just gonna get all this cleaned up. He's gonna help me out, and we're gonna weld all this, get it all fresh. I'm not gonna film that because I'm not really sure how much of this I'll be doing. I'll probably let the expert do the welding. But nonetheless, a lot of points to be welded. And I know some people will probably say, well, you know, it's lasted this long, why not just leave it alone? And the reason why is because we have a perfect opportunity to clean up these welds. You know, look at all the splatter. I mean, this one's pretty good. This one's pretty good, but just a lot of splatter, and it doesn't really look that clean. So just documenting this for everyone. And yeah, when we get back, once this thing is welded and cleaned up, we're going to get it sitting where the white truck is now, get the wire wheel, clean all this up, take all this grime and corrosion off, do some POR 15 paint, and then start assembling it. So I will see you guys in a few minutes. All right, so we're back today working on the frame. And while the idea of re-welding and cleaning up all the factory welds sounded good, in reality, it was not the best, because without dipping and sandblasting the frame, all the welds up front, we were finding some oil that we just could not get to, and the porosity was really bad. So this one's actually ground out and redone. We did put down some new welds back here, but my fiance's grandpa said it best, why lay each bead just to see if you have to grind it out and redo it all over again? And there's probably 100+ welds here. So the original welds have held up this long. They'll hold up just as long. So my father's here now. We're going to start cleaning this frame. I've been working on it a while now with the compressed air. Just gotta make sure to get all these channels here, just get everything cleaned up. We're gonna wire wheel this now, and then we'll start POR 15ing it. Okay, so now with all the brake lines off, the bump stops, the holder for the exhaust, which is right here, all that stuff's off. This is your middle brake line, fuel line dual clip. It goes right there. Keep that because no one makes those. We're going to start to wire wheel this frame. So safety glasses and a respirator. Lincoln Electric makes these wire wheels. Hey, get behind me so you're not getting all that on you. So that's probably too clean for POR 15, but I've got the metal etching primer we'll use. The last 59 frame I did like 8 years ago, all you're really supposed to do is just knock the scale off, like right here. You're just supposed to just do that. It's good enough. But I'm gonna get this clean. This probably takes 2 to 4 hours. Once it's all nice and I've got it where I want it, I'll come back, I'll keep scraping on this, clean off these channels, and we'll power wash it, then metal etch primer, then POR 15, so. It started to rain, so I brought the axle inside. Got it pretty clean on the top. Gonna have to flip it over this week and do the bottom. But with that being said, let's head outside. I want to show you guys the frame. I've worked on it today about hour and a half combined with this. And I found something interesting that I've never seen before on 59, so let's go check it out. So here's the progress so far. Got the front half of the frame pretty good. Still need to get the inner rails. I'm working on the back as well, getting those done. But everyone knows there's a VIN number right here on 59 through 64X frames. But today I found a second one right there. Same side, driver's side, right behind body mount number 4. And there's a partial VIN. So I've never seen that before. I've never seen anyone post that before. But yeah, there's number 1. And there's number 2. So this is a true numbers matching frame. So off and on this week, I'm gonna keep on cleaning this frame. I'm probably getting it too clean for what the POR recommends, but that etching primer will help fix that. So that being said, I'm gonna keep working on this thing throughout the week. And when we're ready to paint and all that good stuff, I will come back and grab the camera and we'll set her back up. Okay, so here we go with the POR 15. I sanded this frame down to pretty much bare metal in a lot of spots. I mean, the whole thing wasn't sandblasted. But once I did that, I scraped all the grease off that I could see and went back over this frame like 5 or 6 times. I then did the POR degreaser cleaner. Did that a couple times, washed it off real good. And then I hit it with the metal prep, which I was reading on the internet. I don't know if it's like phosphoric acid or what it is, but it rusted all this stuff and left a white tint. So all that work of taking all the rust off just to have it come back, but that's fine. Because at least I know this is all this kind of like new rust. It's not a bunch of scale and dirt and grease. But got her all clean, let it dry overnight, and we're now going to apply the POR 15. So, I know this isn't a powder coat job, but it's about 1/10 the price. This stuff is really good stuff. I did it on my black 59. I didn't even have this much prep in my first frame, so the fact that I'm gonna have this much in this frame, I feel pretty good about it. One thing to note, gloves are a must. Tarps are a must. A respirator is a must. My cat lives in this garage. It's 60 degrees in here today. It's 75 outside. I don't want him inside of this because these fumes are toxic. So yeah, wear proper protection. Don't wear good clothes because whatever this stuff touches, it ruins. So I ruined a couple pairs of shoes last time I did this. I ruined a nice pair of blue jeans. So I'm wearing just gross clothes today. It'll be an awesome product. It just does not come off once it's dry. So with that being said, I'm going to open this can. I need to get some saran wrap first though, because once the lid comes off and you pour it out, wherever you pour it, and if you put that can back down, it'll like glue itself. You'll never get it back off. So I'm gonna go get some saran wrap. We're gonna empty it out here. Also, I bought an assortment of cheap brushes. These are bristle brushes. The plastic, like the foam brushes, break down. So bristle's the way to go unless you want to spray it. But again, if you spray this stuff on with a air paint gun and all that stuff, you will ruin the paint gun. So gonna run inside. Let's get this stuff mixed up and let's put on, I guess we're gonna do one thin coat today on both the axle and the frame. Let it dry, do another coat, and then flip it upside down and do 2 more coats, and we'll be done. All right, so we are putting the rear end together here today. I already did the first side. I got the shock in place and the lower shock mount. So these are kind of interesting. The repops, I actually stripped out the original one, so I had to get a repop. And I could not get these to go in. I drilled it out, I mean, all that good stuff, and it just would not push through. So I learned that if you twist them, like tighten them in, they kind of work themselves in. So we're gonna leave that loose. There is still a gap right there. I do want to also tell you guys that on aftermarket shocks, I don't even know what brand this is, I've had it for like 4 years, but aftermarket shocks, the little holes or the tangs that the bolts sit in, which are right up here, it actually sits like that. These holes, I'd probably drill them out just a little bit to give you a little bit of play, but the bolts, these are 3/8 16 thread, but they don't fit through the tangs here. So these are the original size bolt. I just got brand new bolts. So I drilled them out with 1/4 and 5/16, just walled them out a little bit. Let's get this thing installed in the car. I'm just gonna do this right now. So these come in here, and you have to take your adjustable wrench, if this thing was fully extended, and get the tangs to line up just right. So let's do this one. And now that I've struggled with this for an hour, if the bolts, I can't remember if these are 1/2 inch, but get a little longer bolts, maybe 3/4. Then you're not fighting them forever, because that was a real pain in the butt to get that on there. But nonetheless, once that's done, we're gonna come over here. Let me get the camera set up. Pretty simple. You just get the shock. Really hard to do this with one hand, but you want to get that pushed all the way on right there. So I'm going to do that quick and be right back. All right, so now that that's done, this bolt can be tightened up, and this bolt's got splines, so as it draws it in, it will bite. Same on this side. Pretty good. Now I've already installed the bump step, or the bump stop, on the back here. That one's pretty simple, just one bolt. The front ones, on the other hand, the top ones here are pretty tough, so I'll show you guys how to do that quick. Okay, so here's the rear one. It's got the nut and the bolt and then like this little tang. There's a hole in the pocket back there where that fits, so that this thing can be screwed in without spinning. All right, so these on the front side have a groove, and you pretty much have to put them in there like so. Take a screwdriver and kind of pry. Man, it's really tough to do this with one hand. Where'd that go? Take two. All right, so let's try this again. So put it in there, get it kind of tight. Take a small screwdriver and push that lip down into that hole and twist. And just keep pushing it. And twisting it. There we go. If you look at it, well, you guys can't see this, but there's a little pocket here. You can look in there. And that bad boy is in there. So that's done. And just for quick reference, I'll show everyone here on this rear pocket, right there, the bolt goes in, you find the sweet spot right there where it won't spin. Right there it will spin, but right there it won't spin. Put your nut on and you're done. All right, one final thing to note on the back here, leave all your suspension bolts loose until you're finally ready to move on to the front. My control arm, it was actually this side, was a little tweaked. Not really tweaked, but it was in there at an angle, so I had to take the arm, kind of fold it back, and then feed the bolt through. So leave everything loose. It just helps everything going forward. However many shims were in the back here, mine has 2. Make sure to put them back. Again, leave these bolts loose. These can be tight because that's a stationary piece. Shocks are tight. The shock mounts are tight. Going to crank all these bolts down here and move on to the front. So one of the boring things about putting a car back together is just all the amount of time it takes to make all these parts new again. So I bought some lock washers for the steering box, but these washers look like they have a shoulder on them. So I'm going to save those. The steering box and then the idler arm assembly had one large washer on it, so I'm going to save those. Going to sandblast the push rods, and I don't even know what these are called, the dividing washers for the brake system. This is the rear. Going to sandblast the wheel cylinder screws or bolts, and also going to sandblast and paint the motor mounts. So, pretty boring stuff. Here's that assembly, that idler arm. I'm not even sure if that's what you call it, but pretty tiny. But I'm going to sandblast all this stuff, paint it, and we'll start putting it back on the car. We had some nasty weather last night. And got some nasty weather moving back in here. So, got everything inside. Coming back though to all the sandblasted parts. Motor mounts are painted, put back on. The idler arm, put back on. Pretty boring stuff, just sandblasting in a $100 Harbor Freight central pneumatic blast cabinet, pretty basic stuff. Got the brand new drums, brand new brake shoes. Wheel cylinders are brand new. I did paint the little star washer thing that separates the shoes, as well as the pistons, or the little push pistons. Sandblasted and painted those. So pretty much now the rear is done. I still need the adjusters for the very bottom. I forgot to buy them. One thing though I did not cover in the video that I want to address now is the panhard bar. So I actually took this bolt out and sanded it down, painted it, all that good stuff, put it back in, and the opening for the panhard bar was like right here. So the way to fix that, and I should explain that now because a lot of people have questions on that, is first of all, hook up your nut up here, get that good to go. You will be off a little bit, but I took a ratchet strap right around the body mount right here, down to this pocket right here, and as soon as I did that, I just tightened it up and it drew this bar in where I was able to get it on there and got the nut nice and tight. So, pretty simple to do, but it needs to be on there. So if you guys get in this instance where you forget to do it like I did, just take a ratchet strap and crank it down. All right, now the next thing we're gonna work on, probably next week, well in the same video, but next week, we're going to sandblast the upper and lower control arms. I'll show you guys the ball joints, how to put them in, how to do the bushings for the front, and then we'll get the front suspension done. All right, so last part of the video today, I'm gonna show you guys a DIY video, or a DIY method to take the rubber suspension out of the front upper control arms. First of all, if your ball joints are original or not, the originals are riveted in, all the aftermarkets are bolt in, so these are original ball joints. So I'm gonna set the camera up here and do this on the ground with everyone. First things first, Take your bolt and your retainer. Man, they're really stuck on there today. There we go. Take them off on both sides. Okay, once that's done, you do need a torch. You can do this if you don't have a torch. It's a lot more difficult. We're gonna heat this up, this rubber right here, and we're gonna push it out. It is kind of windy today, but I'm right in the middle of my yard. I'm gonna go turn on the torch here, and we're gonna burn these things out. Have a couple small screwdrivers, hammers. I've got some vice grips here. I did the first one. There is a metal collar inside the bushing, so that might not come out with you. Just grab that with some vice grips because it's very, very hot. And there's what the middle arm looks like once it's out. So I try to melt the outside off. This takes like 5 to 10 minutes aside. Just be careful not to do any cutting. Because you don't want to cut the arm, you just want to melt the rubber out of there. Kind of go front and back. These sunglasses I'm wearing are welder sunglasses. I'm sure they're not like OSHA proof for welding, but it's very hard to see in them. So I'm sure my eyes are okay just looking at this through like actual sunglasses or no glasses at all. So just take your time. The best way to do this would be with a press. I think the best way to install these is going to be just to freeze them and knock them in. Process. There we go. We're close. There we go. First one, the rubber is out. So you do that with the other side, and it's easy as that. All right, so I actually got these things backwards after I broke them apart. They are side specific, and they are orient specific. So this is the driver's side. First of all, this right here, this curve, goes towards the back of the car. This is actually clear the steering arm. So that would go like that. Also, when you guys take your stuff off, put the bolts back the correct way because the nuts go towards the inside of the car. So this is the correct orientation with the curve in the back for the driver's side. Now, on the control arms, if you get confused, there is one side that's kind of like a flat pocket right here. The other side has got a recessed pocket the recess goes towards the back of the car. So this is the driver arm. Same for this one here. Here's the flat pocket, or I'm sorry, the flat spot, and here's the recessed pocket. So this is the passenger side because this faces the back of the car. And then as you see here, I've got my nuts towards the inside. So this is the correct orientation. I don't know if you can stamp these or paint them, whatever you want to do, but make sure you do it right, because I don't know so much on this side. I mean, it looks pretty similar, but definitely this one, you can't flip it around. I mean, if you do that, you're taking it all apart. So leave it the correct way, and then also put the arms on the right side. So again, the pocket is the back, going towards the back of the car. So this is driver's side, and this is passenger side. All right, guys, so this is the end of the episode for today. We've made some pretty good progress on the frame. The next video will probably be a month or two at least. I do work on this just kind of as I get time, so I'm saving clips, editing a little at a time. So keep that in mind. I am making progress, but it's very, very slow. But the next video will be the front suspension done, rebuilding the steering, and then I'm going to dive into rebuilding the steering box. I've never done that before, but my friend Norm said he would walk me through it and help me with that. So once the next episode is done, this frame should be totally rolling and steering on its own. So with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. Comment any questions, comments, concerns, anything you would do differently in this thing. Oh, one more thing to mention is this axle is off center about 1 inch. And I was really kind of worried, but come to find out, with no weight on the body, or no weight on the frame, the axle with the panhard bar will move about 1.5 inches over, favoring the driver's side. So if you're out in the junkyard and you're like, oh man, I need a frame, and this one, oh, it looks good, but it's off kilter. No, that is how they're built. The panhard bar will keep it in check, and once the weight is back on the body, or back on the frame, it will correct itself. I also bought a Hellwig rear sway bar, but you need to put that on when the steering is all correct. So we'll do that in a future episode. So thank you all for watching. My name is Ryan with Highwood Classic Cars, and I'll see you guys next time.